Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nagachetan from Navanc and Byom, my co-founder from Navanc. Both of us are here. So let us look at something which is not very scary. Till now, we have seen a lot of data, a lot of fraud, and a lot of mule, and it seems that banking is very difficult and a scary affair. So let's look at something which could enable banking as a business. So at Navanc, as the name suggests, now Ank means a new number. We are trying to build an entire end-to-end stack for assessing properties for banks and financial institutions which are into lending. So on a daily basis, we see that more than 1,500 applications get rejected, not because they're not truly credit worthy, but because the properties that they have are not credit worthy is what bankers assume. But if we had opportunities to evaluate in a proper manner, it could have been lent to. So that is the kind of process that lending is today, which is very, very manual and analogous in nature. And we are trying to make it completely AI driven and seamless. So if you look at this whole slide, you would look at that there is an opportunity here in understanding how the property could evolve, because we have seen that understanding the customer has been completely digitized today. Then understanding the income capability of the customer is also completely digitized. In these two layers, you have seen unicorns coming in the last 10 years. But now to understand what is the property and what is the assessment about the property, be it what is the title associated with the buyer or the seller, and also the value of the property, which are these two elements are very, very important for a lender to understand. That's where the whole essence of property assessment lies, and that is completely manual today and has not been solved for. That's where we see there is a huge opportunity for us to solve for, and that's what Navanc does. So here when we do this, we solve for various risks associated with this completely. That is the collusion risk and then the fraud risk associated with the property and the property selling and buying. And we see that property layer is emerging in the last 3 to 4 years with a lot of digitization of land records and AI coming in. Yeah. So the Navanc stack today that we have has a complete end-to-end. So if you see bankers solve the problem in a maker-checker model. So there is a maker who does something and a checker at their end who checks and lends. So the makers today are the valuers and lawyers, and they submit their valuation report and the legal report. And then the checkers are the people who are sitting in the banks who are reporting to the credit managers and our technical or legal managers. So we have end-to-end solution which solves for this, wherein we have the underwriting risk copilot through Valet, which is the maker model where we get the valuation report and the legal report done. And then the Navanc AI modules and the insight engine precisely solves for the checking part of the story. Yeah.
Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, so the Navanc AI stack, which Naga spoke about, is like basically ensemble of AI models, where what we are trying to do is the core intelligence revolves around computer vision signals, natural language processing signals, and regression signals. And all that to basically, when it comes to automating the entire property assessment stack, we have divided that entire problem into 4 different categories of problem. For example, imagine the first category being property and locality profiling, the second one being around construction estimation and quality, and third one is around rate estimation, and last but not the least is ownership and litigation. So we have multiple foundational, completely proprietary developed models with enough explainability and flexibility across the first 3 categories. For example, if you go to the next slide, if you see here, this is one of our product, construction estimation, but what happens is when given a good mix of interior, exterior, and surrounding images, it will within minutes quantify what is the construction estimation with enough explanation around, okay, what are the, I'll say, progress around foundation, property structure, say plumbing, basic finishing around electrical components, and so on. And while we are doing this, model needs to have capability to focus on components like components as small as electrical switchboard to as, I'll say, big as a wall. Not only that, in order to align with, say, our customers' policy, we also need to differentiate between, say, under construction wall versus, say, a plastered, unplastered, whitewashed, painted, and so on. So all these foundational capabilities we are able to do because of the custom work and the research which you do around data acquisition, data annotation, and model architecture. That is where our moat is also. And more about this Valet and AI in our next video.
So when we look at the demo, See, AI-enabled Valet is an end-to-end property assessment where we collect the data, we give what the regulator requires at the valuation report and the legal report, which is completely vetted through our AI tools at the back end. So you can see that whether the boundaries are matching, whether the valuation that is coming in is what is in work in that particular area, and so on and so forth. So therefore, the report that comes at the end of the day is much more vetted and much more data driven. And then you could also see our construction estimation models that yeah, so you can see residual age of the property and other things. So I'll quickly come to the AIS model, wherein you can actually understand about the construction and then the entire stack. Yeah. So this is just the, yeah. So this is the Navanc Lite 1 hour valuation model, wherein it gives you the fair market estimation of the property just with a lat long, and with a huge amount of data that we have collected, it gives you an estimation of what could be the value of the property and the construction rates in that particular
And
property.
consider that previous one to be at property and locality
Yeah,
profiling.
and this is the foundational model that we have built on 1 million instances of data, which is completely in-house built data model, which gives you estimation. On the left-hand side, you are seeing the raw images, and if you click on those scaffolding, it will highlight what are those scaffolding, what are those unfinished windows, what are the unplastered wall, so on and so forth. So
And all these components, if you see, okay, very well customized to the ecosystem where we are trying to solve this particular problem. And this is where our real strength lies. For example, I have the enough explainability and also have the flexibility to align with customers' internal policies.
Yeah. So today we work with around 30 plus NBFCs, housing finance companies, small finance banks, and doing around almost like $1 million kind of revenue, ARR. And then these are our esteemed clients, and we do around 3,000 reports a month. Catering over to the maker models to checker models, we are bringing in very quickly the checker models. Thank you so much.
This is the market side.